His name was Charles E. Bowles. You know him, history remembers him as the California outlaw who terrorized Wells Fargo for more than 7 years. Black Bart. By the second year of his infamous career, Black Bart was among the most frequently repeated names in the California newspapers. Feature writers glorified his daring, for Black Bart worked the low. When he was least expected, Bart would appear in the middle of a stagecoach trail, brandishing a double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun, his face concealed beneath a hood. And though Bart was indeed a menacing figure, he was an amateur poet, too. He usually left his incredulous victims with a few lines of original verse. From the Sierra Nevada foothills to the Sonoma coast of California was outlaw territory. But not even an outlaw could pass that way without thinking twice about Black Bart. During Bart's reign of terror between 1875 and 1883, he is credited with 29 stagecoach robberies. And so bold were these 29 robberies that the lone hooded bandit became the most celebrated desperado of his time. His penchant for stagecoaches, contracted by Wells Fargo, led many to believe that Bart had a vendetta against the company. While this might have been true, the romanticized fiction of Black Bart as a gallant hero fighting single-handedly against a giant corporation became so popular that even some Wells Fargo officials started believing it. As it turns out, the facts surrounding Black Bart's criminal career are more incongruous than the fantasies. For example, Bart was finally caught not by a gun-slinging sheriff or by an armed posse, but by a detective. During Bart's last robbery, he was wounded, got away. Afterward, while they were combing the hills for a trace of him, a blood-stained handkerchief was discovered. On this handkerchief, on one corner, FXO7. A laundry mark. That's right, the telltale laundry mark on a piece of fine linen led to the arrest and conviction of California's most feared outlaw. San Francisco super sleuth Harry Morse canvassed 100 laundries and laundry agencies in that city before making the right connection. When he did, when Detective Morse found the right establishment, who was there to pick up his laundry? Black Bart himself. Bart went into custody peacefully. He returned the loot from his last heist, pleaded guilty to the robbery, received a light sentence. After 4 years serving as druggist for the prison doctor at San Quentin, he was back on the street. As far as anyone knows, Charles E. Bowles, the original Black Bart, never committed another crime. You're wondering how the hooded, shotgun-wielding tyrant of the stagecoach trails got off with a virtual reprimand. You should know what the authorities discovered about Black Bart when the hood came off. Instead of a hard-riding equestrian, they found a man who was so frightened of horses he traveled to and from his robberies on foot. Instead of a bloodthirsty young desperado from Death Valley, they found an aging gentleman from Decatur, Illinois, who never once, in all his career as a bad man, fired a shot, because he never once loaded his gun. And now you know the rest of the story.